Cool, cool, cool. Alright, cool, 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 cool. Yeah, what's good? What's up? We're gonna jump into a weekly market breakdown session. You know, a new segment. It's a new segment where the one reason I like this one is because I think this will help me prepare for like tomorrow, but especially because usually if my Mondays are shaky and then it kind of like drip feeds into the rest of my week. Sometimes I can recover on Tuesday, maybe Wednesday, right? But usually it just drip feeds into the rest of my week. So conquering Sundays is actually good. Like Saturdays, obviously do want to get them done, but like I feel like the Sunday one is way more important, equally as important, but way more important simply because it's supposed to prepare me for tomorrow, right? And then when I wake up tomorrow, it's not as much friction. Yeah, I'll use the word friction, right? So anyway, damn, probably need to do like weekly chart analysis. I want to do like weekly chart analysis. It's crazy. I think if you get the gist of it, like you can see weekly has been bullish, pull back into like this weekly zone here, and then the weekly internal has switched bullish there, which means we're gonna probably start moving up, right? Maybe it's kind of weekly. It'd be crazy thinking get a pullback till here. This is April, man. Jesus, pullback would come in September into the zone. I wouldn't look at weekly zones. It's crazy. Uh, daily is a little better, right? Nice crossing there. Not going to look at anything too much to the left, right? Because it has reacted anyway. Kind of want to focus more on the structure in here, right? 4 hour zone there. Daily level of pullback into here, right? It hits that, which makes um, okay. Actually, I might test that out. Actually, I think this is nice. Actually, have being able to record like directly in Trading View. I don't know why I didn't think of this long ago. It's also like part of cutting the friction. Right, I'd have this daily zone down here. Daily zone down here. We didn't touch that. That came close, didn't touch it. But what I expect for the daily, obviously, more of a pullback, right? More of a pullback. Kind of have a zone in there, but it's a zone that achieved nothing, right? Because these zones here held, so I wouldn't be too worried about like maybe a reaction, but not anything crazy in there. Same as the 4 hour, right? Our internal has switched back bullish, right? After hitting this 4 hour zone in here, our internal has switched back bullish over there. So expectation would be for the 4 hour to like continue going higher, right? That would be my expectations in terms of the 4 hour. I need to look at this trade. Make it a point to look at it tomorrow. Make it a point to definitely check it out tomorrow. In terms of pullback, this is a fair pullback, right? I wouldn't expect it to like pull back crazy deep, right? Doesn't need to like pull back into like the very lows over here. Doesn't need to. Same as like I'll say, it's like the zones from May. I'm not expecting it to like go all the way down here. It can, right? Obviously it can, but But as of now, with my internal being bullish, like follow the internal, keep it simple. Just follow the internal. On the 1 hour, I have so many swing lows and highs here. Swing low, internal low. 1 hour is pretty much similar to the the 15 minute. I don't know, I just had like a smooth brain moment right there. Similar to the M15, right? Coming to this 1 hour zone over here, coming to this 1 hour zone over here. So these 1 hour zones have been holding. So expectation is for it to. Why am I on the M15 while I'm speaking of the 1 hour? Am I crazy? 1 hour wise, I'd say this like break of the high here, pull back in, move up, sweep of the highs, but I still expect like for this high to go right since this 1 hour zone it did do a lot to be fair, like pushed very deep. So I guess it did deserve a proper reaction from there. Right. The imbalance has been filled here as well. So this yeah, probably still looking for buys. I wouldn't switch my bias anytime soon. But more important, I think coming into tomorrow, coming into tomorrow, I'd still wait for the swing high to go first, right? The proper break of the swing high. Then I start looking for continuations or maybe try to play like a small pullback, right? Maybe play a small pullback in, and then as the days go, look for the greater buys. But we'll see how things look. But my bias still is like just being bullish. Bias is still bullish. And then GPSD, let's see, weekly chart. Weekly chart is so it's in a range, not a zone, my bad. Same as the daily, it's like smack bang in the middle of a range. Last had a break up here, which does mean it's bullish, right? As it reflects over there. But we're just in the middle of a range, man. So in terms of things happening, anything can happen. If you look at like the closer price action line, we do have a break of these lows here. Not very significant lows, but a break is a break regardless, right? It does kind of mean that it's okay to be bearish at this point here, right? Just look for sells, continue looking for sells coming into tomorrow though. Could look for the 4 hour to touch this, right? Since it is a new break downward, generally it doesn't pull back in far, right? Since it's a new break. So I could see it hitting this here before I continue looking for sales like into the rest of the week. Nice, some liquidity here. Already swept liquidity over here. Just gonna probably keep pushing it down. On hour similar to on hour similar to the 4 hour, right? Swept all this liquidity here, close to the liquidity here, which can make this a target, right? And then probably just keep looking for sales. I hope these will keep getting better as time goes. Not in the best look ahead, I'd say, but I'll get used to it. And in terms of like picking a format on how I get stuff done. Okay, so here now I have my iPods there, right? Move up, which would make this the internal low on my M15 internal low. Last M15 pass here, M15 iPods, my bad, and then this is the M15 internal high, which is yet to break. Right, M15 internal high, a huge sweep of the M15 internal high. Still expect the pullback after the M15 break of structure, but as you saw with like the 4 hour and the daily, probably is okay to keep looking for sells, right, and not these much deeper pullbacks. But in order to keep looking for sells, I'd say we'll see what happens tomorrow, but looking for either a break of the internal low, right, so I can follow it down, or if we do in fact end up having a swing break over there, then I can continue looking for buys into this 4 hour, at which point my bias would probably shift again to the downside. I think that's kind of a fair guesstimation without going too crazy. And then the dreaded Euro USD, terrible. Looks very terrible. It kind of isn't. On the weekly, it's actually showing signs of being proper bearish, right? After the daily boss here, weekly zone is all the way down here. So on the daily. Actually, it might start looking proper. Actually. Right. Daily swing is bearish, right? We had a daily break over there. If I was looking at a daily internal, as you'd see, this is like a move up, move down in there, move up. This doesn't break the high, so technically this is the low to break over here. Can move the high here if I want to, but technically this is all one move. So actually, if I get a break and close of this low here, that's the daily internal, right? Break and close below the daily internal could be good news for sales, right? So definitely would be looking for that. And then on the 4 hour, we did have a 4 hour break of structure last week. We did have the break of structure. I would consider this 4 hour swing low, even though the previous swing ranges were big, but I'd consider this a decent 4 hour swing low. Just so more focused on like current price action, right? Instead of still having expectations of like a crazy pullback into April highs. So I pause here, and then after an I pause, expectation is for this to keep selling, right, and break the 4 hour swing low. Right, not a strong swing low since it failed to create a new high. In terms of, I need to get back into drawing my zones, man. I'm just literally eyeballing them. I have a zone there, we don't have any interesting zone there, just more liquidity. And then on the M15, we have a huge swing range, but it's fine. Just focus on the internal range since it makes a lot more sense. Same, I think, as with GU. Had a nice pullback, right, and then now starting to play against these equal lows here. Expectation is a a break of the internal lows, and then I could look for sells into the swing low, right? And then once we do have a confirmed break, then either we keep going with the momentum for sells, or we end up looking for like reversals, right? Let's say it does come into here, I'll probably give sort of a reaction. And then once it does break, I'm happy continue looking for sells until we get a change like an IBOS, right? Then we can look for buyers pull back in, and then continuation with the sells. This is like the idea I have in my head. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out though. Let's just leave this here for tomorrow morning. And also, I do actually need to look at like my economic calendars. I need to get back on that horse. So yeah, let's see what happens tomorrow. Peace.